Hello everybody and welcome back to another buyer's guide, this time for City Skylines Sunset Harbor DLC. And this one is adding a fishing industry, as we can very easily see from this angle right here, and it is adding some transit stuff as well as a few health buildings and some waste management and sewage management and water related utility buildings as well. So it actually adds a lot of stuff. A lot of people are trying to say Mass Transit 2.0. I'm leaning more towards saying this is After Dark 2.0, which I think is a bigger compliment, because Mass Transit really didn't add that much. I mean, you can see this is everything you get in the pack. Every building here is added with the pack, and none of the buildings are missing. We have the one unique building, which is the Aviation Club. So this is just a unique building that you put down. You can't put down more than one of these. There is the helicopter, sort of private helicopter transportation, and that communicates with the new airport with these helicopter pads here. The new airport is very well done. It looks fantastic. It has a lot of detail. I really like it. I mean, everything looks a lot more believable and realistic than a lot of the airports that we've gotten either from After Dark or the base game or Industries. As we're moving through here, we just have different sort of hubs. This is a bus hub for intercity. Buses have now been added so that people can actually take a bus out of the city via the freeways, which I think is really cool to go along with trains, ships, and planes. Now we can actually get people in and out, tourists in and out in bulk via road public transportation. We have a station right here. Let me show you exactly how this actually overlaps here. But with this, we have a metro. So it's two different metro stations, and they're sort of crisscrossed, so that you can actually get sort of two different metro lines going out of here into two totally different areas. And then we have just the normal bus station options there. This is an intercity bus station. So this is mostly just for accepting buses from, again, other cities and then sort of shuffling them about. But it does connect in with the metro. So people could take the metro into this station and then take a bus out of the city, or they can come into the city via bus and then take the metro around the city. This right here is an above ground metro. They have added above ground metro. Stop right here. And it is communicating with this bridge, this pedestrian bridge across the road, with a train station. Now this does, as you can see as I highlight this, this does force you to use this particular road. So these are not two different pieces that can go with any road. It does go with this only road, but it does look very nice. I do really like the look of it. Having the pedestrian bridge right there is incredibly useful. The normal above ground metro station is right here. So this isn't a hub, this is just the above ground metro station. Looks very nice, very detailed. And if we're going to follow this around, we could see, actually, let me pause the game really quick. We could see that the metro itself has had an overhaul with this pack. Much more detailed, new model, looks really nice, sounds really good, looks really good gliding around on that upper elevated metro platform. This is the actual elevated version of the metro station. So this one's actually sort of propped up above ground. Really nice. Everything that they've added in the last DLCs has been extremely high detail, but that is essentially the transit that was added, right? Helicopters. The trolley buses. Let me pause really quick to find a trolley bus. These are the new trolley bus roads. You can see the roads here. You can see how it's sort of going along. Really neat. And this is the trolley bus depot. It should look a lot like a tram depot. It doesn't look too dissimilar to that. And then they've added a new water tower, which is really nice. This actually produces more water than the actual water pump. So not only does it replace the normal water tower, but it also kind of replaces the water pump if you want. That's nice because water pumps disrupt water flow in rivers. So if you have too many water pumps, you could actually dry up a river. If you have too much sewage output into a river, you can actually sort of have the water going the wrong way up a river, right? And you can have flooding and stuff like that. So these water towers are really nice. In addition to that, you have inland water treatment facilities. These are the non-eco ones. Very nice detailing on these. They're going to look fantastic, I think, in industrial areas, just to sort of prop up and make those industrial blocks look more unique and diversified, with big buildings sort of projecting themselves and catching your eye. These are the eco ones, and you do not need green cities for these. These just come with the pack. So you have eco inland water treatment facilities to go with the non-eco ones. But I think altogether, these just, they all look good. They add a nice visual variety. I'll probably use all of them, not because they're all efficient, but because they just add that flavor, they add that charm to the city, right? I'm actually really excited to just be weaving these into the city design. We have a new waste management building. This building right here collects garbage just like a normal landfill. It stores the garbage. In order to process the garbage from this building, though, you need the waste processing complex. This does not gather garbage from the home. The waste transfer facility does gather garbage from homes. This building is what gathers the this building gathers the garbage from the actual transfers and then processes that to create power and to also output recycled materials. So these buildings can actually produce recycled materials just like the recycling plants from green cities. But again, you don't need green cities to get these items. Really, really cool. One of the other hubs right here, this is a intercity bus terminal. So this one is kind of like the other one, but does not have the metro connection. It's like this, but without the metro connection. But it's cool to just have that visual variety, right? Of like maybe this can be in a more rural area. Maybe the metro one could be in a more urbanized area. So just having that little touch of variety is really, really nice. This is just an intercity bus station. So this is even like sort of a smaller version of it. The terminal is just sort of a bigger version. This is a smaller version. It's just having that visual variety to pick the right station for the right sort of environment and atmosphere. Over here we have a couple new health buildings. This one is elder care or an assisted living facility here, which is just a really nice detailed building that I think will mix in nicely in park areas and around schools and sort of just in sort of neighborhood and clumps around in neighborhoods and sort of kind of looking like apartment complexes a little bit amongst traditional housing and stuff like that. So this will be the elder care. And then over here we have a child health center, which is kind of looking like maybe just like an elementary school kind of a thing. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. I guess it improves the health of, children and citizens, but for the most part, you could just sort of throw them down just to add that, again, that visual contrast inside of a neighborhood to kind of break it up and make it look a little bit more interesting. So that is most of what you get in the pack. Did we actually take a look at the helicopter stations? Here's the helicopter station. I apologize if we already took a look at this. But this is just the ones that you put all around the city, and helicopters can come down and take off from here. This is the terminal, or the depot, I should say, where the helicopters are populated from, basically, right? And this is where the actual stations are. And you create the actual lines like you would a blimp line or like you would a bus line. Same kind of dealio there. Here is the fishing industry. So this is the other big thing that was added with the pack. This was something that I was most excited about. I was hoping it was going to be like the industries, like a fifth industry, but for fish, right? Unfortunately, that is not true. All of these are the fishing, sort of the raw material fish generators. You can see that they have different boats. This is sort of like a little boat, and this is a bigger boat, and so on and so forth. Because this is the generic boats that can catch any kind of fish. These are the boats here that are specialized. They can catch more fish and more quickly if they're fishing in the right waters. So if we go to the fish map mode, we can see here, there's different kinds of fish. There's the shellfish out here. There's the anchovy. You draw these different lines like this to create their pathing. I've just done some generic ones. I'm not optimizing them. I'm just sort of showing the boats as they're kind of moving about. Tuna fish, we don't even have any tuna fish over here. It's way over here. There's a tiny little bit of tuna fish. That is not enough to actually fill the boats. The boats are coming back completely empty because what you want is you want the boats going through these areas and collecting a lot of fish over time and then getting full and then coming back. But they just essentially follow these lines. They go out this way and then they come back. But essentially, you'll notice that a lot of these areas, a lot of these buildings, even though these are specialized, this could be a shellfish one. This could be a salmon one. This could be an anchovy one. This is a tuna one, right? They're specialized, but they don't really look that different. The boats are slightly different. It's a nice charm. It's cool to see these boats just sort of out in the water. This is a little insane, right? But in a city, just to have a few of these fishing boats going about, it'd add life to the city. So I'm really excited about these. But I'm kind of a little disappointed, too, that these are basically the same. They also have roads attached. That drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when they have the roads attached. So we cannot change the road right here. We can't even make it a trolley bus road. So I tried to actually originally have buses coming down this way. Can't do it. Can't do it because this road is just default the 2-lane road. So that's kind of a bummer to me. We do have some fish farms over here. Just sort of a generic fish farm. This is the algae fish farm. This is the seaweed fish farm. But if you click on any of these buildings, fish. Fish. This is the tuna. Fish. Fish. It's going to take some time to figure out what the actual difference between these buildings are in terms of their ability to produce and output and make money. But for the most part, it looks like they're just making generic fish. So that's a little bit disappointing. is that there's not really a difference between the fish farms and the different types of fishing and stuff, but it's kind of a cool little system. It just doesn't really have a lot of meaning to it. The two buildings we have for processing that fish is one, not even a processing building. This is just a fish market. I mean, apparently it sells fish. It doesn't tell us anything about how much fish is stored here. It doesn't tell us about how much it's making. Does it make anything? Is this just like a unique building? Is this just like a park? I don't know. It's a cool looking building. It's really neat. This is where the raw fish is sold, and this is where we produce the fish. This is what I would expect to see even on the fish market page, is to see this is how much fish is being stored, and this is how much is stored of the processed good, right? This makes commercial zone goods. So what that means is that these are the purple tertiary goods. These are the goods that are ready to go to the commercial zones, the different shopping centers and restaurants within the city, and ready to be consumed at the leisure in commercial areas in the city by the citizens. So these fishing factories are, I can imagine, are what you want to do. You want to put this fish into the fish factories so that you can make more goods, so that you can, just as an alternate way to produce industry, right? As an alternate way to produce the industry that your commercial areas need. But it doesn't seem like there's much differentiation between these different sort of fish gatherers, and I'm not sure exactly what the point of the fish market is, but there you go. That is all the buildings that you get in Sunset Harbor. If we're going to go to the policies, we have some policies here. If we go to services, we have a fishing license, increase a little bit of taxation, residential taxation, and reduce citizen happiness. Could be interesting. 5% seems like a lot to raise the taxes, so that could be interesting. City receives more tourism for the tourist travel card, so we get 8% more tourism at the cost of having a little bit more intercity bus network upkeep. No big deal, but that's kind of cool to be able to boost tourism by 8% like that. Algae-based water filtering. Basically, we can use, or I don't even know if you even need algae farms to do this, because algae farms are just fish, right? It reduces the efficiency of algae farm production, but then it helps like the efficiency of the inland filtration system. So I'm curious to see exactly how that works, and if that can be sort of gamed a little bit. Like, do you even need an algae farm for that to be activated? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. The fishing industry takes steps to minimize sustainable fishing here. So it decreases the fishing yield, and it increases citizen happiness by 15%. Income from commercial goods by 5%. I'm really curious to see, like, is that a flat rate? I mean, that seems really, really high. Some of these numbers seem a little bit goofy. It'd be interesting to try them and see what happens. Dolphin safe fishing decreases fish yield by 25%, increases citizen happiness by 20%. Again, that seems mind-blowingly high. I don't know if... yeah, I'm not sure exactly how this is added, or what happiness it's talking about. If it's talking about the happiness that comes from fish, or if it's just talking about generic happiness, or what kind of happiness it's talking about here. Because I'm sure it's not just going to go up a flat 20%. Even if it was multiplicative, that'd be huge. Increase building noise pollution by 50%. So basically, the airplane tours, I apologize. Airplane tours, just the local aviation club, which is the unique building here, essentially becomes a little bit more, produces more noise, but has more traffic through it and services more people, I guess. This is weird because this is a unique building, so I don't know how that exactly would affect things for the entire city. So I don't know exactly how this would work, but that could be kind of interesting, the airplane tours, seeing exactly how that works. So that is essentially everything you get. Those are the 6 policies. These are the different buildings that you get. This is one of the maps as well. This is the first map that you get in the pack. And we can see it's actually kind of a fun map. Lots of winding rivers, lots of interesting little bumps and hills, some flat areas to build. It's kind of... it doesn't look as detailed, it doesn't look as textured as some of the maps that we had with Campus. Campus, I feel like, had some really good maps. This looks a little bit more amateurish, but it'll be interesting to see what the other maps look like. So this is map number 1 of 5, and I'm hopeful that the other maps will look pretty good. So thanks, everybody, for taking a look at that, and if you have questions, just ask in the comments. But I will go through the other 4 maps here, and we will take a look at those and then see, and then we'll complete everything that you get in City Skylines Sunset Harbor. Alright everybody, we just looked at Azure Gulf. That was where DLC Town was built. This is Crater Falls, the second map that you get with the Sunset Harbor DLC. I am digging this one quite a bit. I still think the texturing is a little bit weak on the hills, but it really does feel like you're in a crater, which is really, really cool. And the area down here is like, I mean, the river shape is fantastic. There's maybe a little bit like, I would say there's kind of like too many rivers. There's maybe too many rivers, but it does look really, really neat. This definitely doesn't exactly scream like, you know, realistic. It doesn't make me feel like this is a real place. But I do actually really, really like the overall look of this. I like this sort of inner area here quite a bit, which is where you'll do most of your building. And then if you kind of look up into the hills, maybe, yeah, maybe there's a little bit too many rivers, but there's some really cool stuff here. Some overall, some pretty good texturing, some different plateaus and stuff. I mean, you can see up there's kind of a plateau, some interesting places that you can build to. I think you'd want 25 tiles on this map to really get sort of like into some of these really interesting areas. But I mean, you could easily have multiple little communities, multiple towns. You could do sort of just make these different areas sort of different kinds of different parts of the city. I think there's a lot of different sort of interesting separation that you can have on this city just with the rivers and with the different lakes and with the different elevations and stuff. So this looks like a fun one. This is Crater Falls. All right, everybody, this is Desert Oasis, the third map in the Sunset Harbor DLC. And at first I was really excited for this one because the picture looked really awesome. And I like the idea of them going with the desert and doing a lot of, I guess, drawing sand everywhere is probably what they did to make this effect. But I'm just not seeing a lot of texturing here at all, right? We're getting like intense slopes, but we're not getting any texturing. It's very hard to build. It's very hard to build on a slope like that and make it look good. Usually you want to be kind of building on mostly flat land and then just use geographical texturing just to kind of make pizzazz and inside it sort of define the areas where you actually build. I mean, I can't imagine trying to actually like build up here and have it actually looking good. I don't know. I mean, maybe this could be an interesting challenge. There is sort of like a plateau up here, it seems, and this area down here seems relatively flat. These hills back here seem pretty smooth in kind of an awkward way. Again, I don't know if the person that made the campus DLC maps is the same person that made these maps. But I like the fact that they at least went with sort of a desert vibe to kind of make it seem different. So that was Desert Oasis. Alrighty, and here we are with map number 3. This is the Fisher Enclave. And I gotta say, yes, yes, yes. I am really liking this map. I'm liking this sort of little dugout, this little dried up area here. I'm liking that there still seems to be relatively a lot of flat area to build on. I'm not quite seeing the texture that I would love to see on there, but it's better than a couple of the other maps that we've looked at. I mean, I'm seeing some nice little, like steep little, like very tight sort of mountain formation things here, sort of tight texturous hills that don't really disrupt the actual buildable area, but just add that little bit of sort of character to, you know, the city and create a divide, like a logical divide between what could be two different neighborhoods or a downtown area and a rural area or a commercial area and a residential area or who knows what, right? But yes, basically this is an archipelago map, but it has more space than the actual traditional archipelago map. This reminds me a lot of a map that we actually played on from the workshop. Yeah, this looks like a fantastic map. This is definitely one that I'm very, very excited to play on. Very excited to play on this one. This was Fisher Enclave. We are back here with the final and 5th map, so 5 maps added with the Sunset Harbor. I apologize, I misspoke. The last one was the 4th map, not the 3rd. So this is the 5th map, which is the Swamplands. And kind of just, I guess it kind of invokes Swamplands, sort of. It's got a lot of land for being Swamplands. Kind of just flat, but not perfectly flat. Not really particularly texturous sort of edges of the water, which I guess is maybe kind of the point. I do think that overall there's some good sort of macro water design here. I think the water flow is going to be kind of goofy because it kind of looks like some of these. I think they wanted to intentionally make some of these areas sort of like more like still water, and I think they've actually done that. Like this is kind of just like a little bit of, I'm not sure. Is this supposed to flow through? Is it not supposed to? Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Yeah, Swamplands, not much to talk about here. Kind of a flat map, not a lot of interesting elements specifically popping out at me. Just lots of water, right? It does seem like they're going with a kind of a water vibe here. But thanks everybody for watching this buyer's guide for Sunset Harbor, where we took a look at all the buildings that get dropped down, all the policies that you can add, and all of the maps that you get with this DLC. A couple good maps that I'm really excited for looking at them all. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one, guys. Thanks, everybody.